Have you ever felt that something deep is moving beneath the surface of American society? Something quiet, but powerful. Something spiritual, not political. Something ancient, rising in a modern world. Many people today sense it, but cannot explain it. The signs are everywhere, yet few have the eyes to see what is truly happening. But if you watch this entire video, you will understand what millions are slowly waking up to. You will understand why more and more Americans are turning toward Catholicism, and why this movement is not just a trend, but a historic turning point. Stay with me till the end. By the time we finish, you will not only see the truth, you will feel it. For generations, America believed it was walking away from religion. People thought faith belonged to the past. The world told us that science, technology, progress would replace God. Schools taught children that morality is subjective. Culture told us that truth is whatever you want it to be. Society created a world where every person chooses his own meaning, his own values, his own reality. Many celebrated this as freedom. But over time, something unexpected happened. Freedom without direction turned into confusion. Choices without truth turned into emptiness. Individualism without God turned into loneliness. And now, millions of Americans, especially the young, are quietly searching again. Searching not for shallow excitement, not for modern slogans, not for temporary comfort, but for truth, order, and purpose. They are turning toward something strong, something rooted, something eternal. They are turning toward the Catholic Church. If you look around honestly, the signs are clear. We live in a time where everything appears free, yet nothing feels solid. People can do anything, yet most do not know why they exist. Entertainment is endless, yet hearts feel empty. Information is everywhere, yet truth feels lost. Many homes are full of technology, yet empty of peace. Many lives are busy, yet without meaning. This feeling of spiritual hunger is not a failure of the human spirit. It is a failure of a world that tried to build life without God. This is why Catholicism is rising again. Because when the world fails to answer life's great questions, the soul goes back to the only place where answers exist. Who am I? Why am I alive? What is right and what is wrong? How should I live? What happens after death? These questions have never changed. But modern society tried to silence them. It tried to replace them with distractions, with entertainment, with self-worship, with temporary pleasure, with individual freedom that has no anchor in truth. Yet no matter how loud the world becomes, the human soul keeps asking these questions, and Catholicism is rising again in America because it answers them clearly, firmly, and confidently. This is not happening through flashy marketing, not through social pressure, not through cultural dominance. It is happening through awakening. People are not running to the church because they are forced to. They are walking back because they are hungry for something real, hungry for certainty, hungry for peace, hungry for God. For decades, America tried an experiment, life without sacred truth. It believed that if we remove boundaries, humanity will rise. It believed that if every person becomes his own authority, society will become free. In truth, what we gained was not freedom, but chaos. Not strength, but confusion. Not unity, but division. Not peace, but anxiety. And in this moment of confusion, the Catholic Church stands like a lighthouse in a storm, a steady tower of truth when everything else falls apart. It is not a coincidence that during times of moral crisis, people look toward authority. It is not a coincidence that when life feels empty, they look toward tradition. It is not by chance that when society loses itself, people turn back to God. This is nature. This is truth. And this is happening right now in America. For years, people said the Catholic Church was old-fashioned, outdated, too strict. Yet today, those same qualities are exactly why people return. Because the Church did not bend to cultural pressure. It did not rewrite its teachings to please the world. It did not change truth to follow trends. And now, stability is attractive again. Clarity is desirable again. Truth is beautiful again. Firm guidance is wanted again. America is waking up to something eternal. Freedom without truth is not freedom, it is collapse. And the Catholic Church remains the guardian of truth. People are not only seeking faith, they are seeking authority, structure, and moral clarity. They are tired of hearing "believe whatever you want." They want someone to tell them, with certainty, what is right. They want someone to show them the path to a meaningful life. And this clarity exists in one place. The Catholic Church does not say, "Choose your own truth." It says, "Follow God's truth." The Catholic Church does not say, "Live however you want." It says, "Live as God created you to live." The Catholic Church does not say, "Your feelings define reality." It says, "Reality is defined by God." That is why America is turning toward Catholicism, because the soul is tired of lies and confusion. But this movement is not only spiritual, it is generational. College students are converting. Young families are converting. Intellectuals are converting. People who once laughed at religion are now kneeling in quiet chapels, seeking answers no university or politician could give them. And why? Because they found that science explains how the world works, but only God explains why it exists. And only the Catholic Church gives answers that do not change with the wind. For many, the journey begins with disappointment in modern life. They see marriages breaking. They see families falling apart. They see people drowning in anxiety, depression, and loneliness. They see society celebrate freedom, yet destroy everything sacred. They see values crumble. They see truth mocked. And they ask, is this really progress? Deep inside, something whispers, there must be more. And that whisper leads them home to the church. Even those who once rejected Catholicism now admit something surprising. They may not fully believe yet. They may still question. But they know one thing. The Catholic Church is the only institution that stands firm. And that alone earns respect. Some say, I don't agree with everything the Church teaches, but I wish it were true. That is the beginning of conversion, the moment the soul recognizes truth. Even before the mind fully understands it, the Catholic Church does not merely offer hope, it offers order. It offers identity. It offers direction. A world without God makes people wander. A world without truth makes people doubt. A world without structure makes people collapse. But the Church gives purpose, meaning, belonging, and a path forward. That is why the rise of Catholicism in America is not a surprise. It is the natural return to the truth the human soul was made for. This is only the beginning of the story, America. Today stands in a moment of decision, a crossroads. On one side is a life without boundaries, without truth. Without God, a life where each person decides their own meaning, yet ends up lost in confusion. On the other side is a return to order, to faith, to discipline, to purpose, a return to the one who made us and the church he established. It is a national and cultural struggle. It is a spiritual war hidden beneath daily life. Many Americans believe that freedom meant removing all limits. They believe that to be free, they must belong to nothing and obey no one. But over time they discovered a painful truth. Freedom without direction leads not to happiness, but to emptiness. When a river loses its banks, it does not become more free. It becomes a flood, destroying everything in its path. Water needs boundaries to bring life. So does the human soul. This realization is leading many back to faith, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. They tried the world. They tasted endless freedom. They followed desire. They chased every experience. They filled their lives with noise, pleasure, and distraction. And yet their hearts remained restless. Their souls remained hungry. Their minds remained anxious. Their lives felt without meaning. They asked a question they once ran from. What if freedom without God is not freedom at all? When people finally ask that question, the church becomes the only door that makes sense to knock on. Because Catholicism does not say freedom is wrong. It says freedom only works when it is rooted in truth. True freedom is not the ability to do anything. True freedom is the strength to do what is right. This is why Catholicism speaks so powerfully to the modern heart. It explains the deepest mystery of life, freedom and obedience are not enemies. They are partners. A child obeys because he trusts his father. A student obeys to become wise. A Christian obeys God not out of fear, but out of love to access the highest form of freedom, the freedom to live in truth and to reject the chains of sin, desire, and confusion. Deep inside, every human being knows that chaos cannot save them. Pleasure alone cannot fulfill them. Self-worship cannot give them peace. The heart longs for a higher truth, a truth firm enough to trust, a truth strong enough to build life on, and that truth is drawing people back to the Catholic faith like a magnet pulling iron. Darkness only makes the light look brighter. Many Americans are discovering this. By observing the fruit of modern life, they see families breaking apart. They see marriages collapsing. They see children growing without identity or purpose. They see addiction replacing joy. They see violence replacing peace. They see confusion replacing clarity. And they ask, where is all this freedom taking us? The more society removes God, the more miserable it becomes. It turns out that without God, we do not become more free. We become weaker, more anxious, more lost. Without God, people do not rise, they fall. Without God, love does not grow, it breaks. Without God, truth does not shine, it disappears. Modern life promised happiness, yet it delivered loneliness and disorder. And this disappointment is not a failure of humanity, it is the failure of trying to live without God. That is why Americans are rediscovering that. True strength is not found in rejecting God, but in returning to Him. And when they return, they do not want a church that changes with culture. They want a church that stands above culture. They do not want a church that adapts to opinion. They want a church rooted in eternal truth. They do not want a church that bends with human desire. They want a church built on God's authority. And that church is the Catholic Church. This movement is not loud. It is not political. It is not driven by headlines. It is quiet, humble, personal, souls waking up one by one. Truth spreads not always like a fire, sometimes like a seed, slowly, deeply, invisibly. But once the roots grow, nothing can stop the tree. That is what is happening now in America. God is planting seeds in hearts that once felt empty. And those seeds are growing into faith, Catholic faith. Former atheists are entering Catholic RCIA classes. Former Protestants are walking into confession for the first time in their lives. Young men are considering the priesthood. Families are praying the rosary together. Teenagers are attending adoration after school. Universities are seeing Catholic student groups grow faster than secular clubs. And many who thought they were spiritual but not religious are discovering they need not vague spirituality, but clear truth. They do not want a God of feelings. They want a God of reality. They do not want a religion of personal opinion. They want a faith built on divine revelation. They do not want a church they can shape. They want a church that shapes them into saints. This is why Catholicism is rising again. The human heart was made for truth, and when the world fails to give it, the soul returns home to the one who can. Even those who do not yet convert feel the pull. They cannot ignore the beauty of sacred music. They cannot deny the mystery of the Eucharist. They cannot dismiss the strength of church teaching on family, marriage, life, and morality. This is the quiet revolution happening in America. Not a revolution of force, but of the Spirit. Not a revolution of anger, but of awakening. Not a revolution of rebellion, but of return. No one sees it on the news, but God sees it in hearts. And every heart that returns to truth increases the light in this world. Just a little more. Catholicism is not rising because it adapts to the world. It is rising because people are tired of a world without solid ground. They are tired of being told they create their own truth. They are tired of living without spiritual direction. They want someone to say, "This is the way. Walk in it." And the Catholic Church does exactly that. This is only the halfway point of our journey. Join this mission. Be part of this awakening. Together, we are rebuilding faith in a world that forgot it. Subscribe now so you never miss the next chapter of this story. Share this so more souls can find their way home. And in the comments, tell me, do you believe America is returning to God? Until the next video, stay strong in faith, stay rooted in truth, and remember, real freedom begins when we say, "Thy will be done."